Ooh. Oh. Ta-da! Hello and welcome to Art Hard. I am Eric Perkins. In today's video, we'll be discussing ellipses, spheres, cones, and tapered boxes. First of all, though, I need to give some credit. While I was researching the steps to create some of these shapes to make sure I wasn't misinforming, I came across a different method of making circles in perspective on the art of way. And I will put a link to that specific video in the description below. Also, while I was researching spheres in perspective, I found a method for drawing spheres on Mr. Rhino 3D's channel. And so I will put a link to that video in the description below as well. Now, to get started, today we're going to put a horizon line on the page. And I'm going to put, let's see, we're going to start with a single perspective point right here. So that's my vanishing point, and this is my horizon line. Now, creating a circle in perspective is a little bit tricky because a circle is perfectly round, all the way around, and equal. So you would have to actually do that within a perfect square. Once you take that perfect square into perspective, it's very hard to know for sure that it's still a perfect square. You'd have to kind of like eyeball it. And so instead of a sphere or a circle, you'll end up getting an ellipse, which is a circular shape, but maybe it's not absolutely perfect. Okay. So I'm making this box as perfect as possible on the flat side of perspective so that we can do a perfect sphere or a perfect circle in there, or as close as I can get to it. I'm also going to put it into perspective with the bottom face so that I can show you what it might look like in perspective, in 1-point perspective anyway. Alright, then let's see, we'll do that back edge, which is really close, so it might not really show up much at all. Okay, yeah, there is some though. Now I'm going to go ahead and say, let's start with the bottom. And I'm going to say that about right there would probably be our perfect square or close to it. Now I'm just going to freehand that vertical line on there. And that's a little tilted, I think. When you get that distortion, it becomes a little bit hard to tell what's entirely accurate. Okay. So now, in order to create a circle within our square, or we're not going to do it inside the cube, we're going to do it inside this one face or plane of the box. So first we need to find the center. And we do that by connecting the 4 corners of that face diagonally with a perfectly straight line. Okay, so this center point of the X is actually the exact center of the box, or at least the exact center of that face. We'll connect that both horizontally and vertically. So we have broken the box down into 8 sections. Now we can use these sections. We'll do some more stuff, but we can create a circle within this face. I'm also going to follow the steps here on the bottom face, where we will do one that's in perspective. Now we found the center line of the front. From this point, going across the bottom, that line has to go to the vanishing point because it is receding into the distance. And so that is the center of the box there. We also connect the four corners of that piece so that we find the absolute center. Okay. Oh, maybe I wasn't actually on the vanishing point. It's very close. Okay. So then there's only one line left to draw on the bottom one, which is the horizontal. Okay. So now this bottom face is also divided into 8 sections. And as you can see, this one here that's closest to us is bigger than all the other ones. Okay, so doing this according to the method that I found in the Art of Ways video, we actually break this up into a grid where we bisect, or actually we're going to trisect the top half and the bottom half of this box by creating thirds. So about right there and there. So that's about thirds. Alright, it helps if I actually get my lines to meet up. I'm drawing on my blind side there. Okay, and then we've got to do the same thing at the bottom. This may not be, well, I'm going to guarantee it's probably not entirely accurate, but it should be close enough to get a circle. Okay, so now we've bisected the top half and the bottom half into thirds. We then have to do the same thing vertically here. I'm just going to freehand this roughly. And so now we have this whole grid. Alright, so next we're going to create a diamond going from the center of each edge. So top center, right center, bottom center, left center. We're going to draw a line from the center of one edge to the center of the next edge. And we're going to take this all the way around, creating a diamond or a rotated box inside of our current box. I guess it would actually be, it's a rotated square, not a rotated box, because it's only two-dimensional, although you could make it three-dimensional. With perspective. Alright. Okay. So now we have our diamond within the box, and we have this grid. So what we want to do is mark these points right on, as like just back from where this all intersects. And then now here they do. So we're going to mark a dot here and a dot here. Coming around, this one also doesn't quite match up, but we're marking it, and this one matches up fine. So I'm not sure, I guess because I freehanded those instead of having accurate measurements. But now you can kind of see from the tip of the diamond through these curves to this tip of the diamond, through the curves to here, through the curves to here, and through here, creates a circle. So I'll just sketch this in. going around the shape, creating the curvature. And of course my curvature is not perfect. I can see that already. But it is pretty close to being a circle. So I would say this maybe should be a little bit thicker out there. This probably ought to be a little bit thicker along there. Okay, but anyway, we have a circle flat on this thing. For the sake of argument, I'm going to continue this grid along the bottom of the box, and we'll do one in perspective. So let me carry on this grid that I sketched in perspective by drawing them those vertical lines. They're going to, as they come onto the bottom face, be drawn to the vanishing point. One more here. All right. And then going across the bottom here, to measure this grid out accurately in perspective, it'd be very difficult, because as you go further and further back, your horizontal lines will get closer and closer together. You could do a bunch of things to measure that out, but we're just going to guesstimate on this thing a little bit. What if we go there, and then here? Yeah, that should be a little bit further back. And then over here, we need two lines. Let's go right about there, I think. Okay, I pinched those ones a bit too much. But that gives you the idea. Same thing though, we're going to use a diamond. So we go from this center to this center to this center and then to this center. I'll just sketch that in real quick. Oops, get the right angle here. So you can see that diamond on the bottom face is very distorted. Let me darken in the edge of this box. We're starting to kind of lose things here. But, let's see, so we can also remember this shape that we created, this arc along the edge of the diamond. So it's this little bit of a sliver of a pie or something. And we can kind of create that down here to guesstimate at our circle, while also using some of our grid lines as a reference, trying to figure out exactly where it belongs. So this method, like I said, doing the grid on the face in perspective poses a lot of extra challenge. It's very tedious, and unless you figure out exactly how to do that accurately, your circle, I don't know, it's a circle. It's not great, but it's a circle. And of course it's a little choppy looking over here because of that corner on the box, so I'll just take that out. So it's not perfect, it's kind of flattened to there. But once you've got that much, you could just kind of go through and work on eyeballing it, trying to get your curvature just right. Now I'm going to show you a different method. Oops, this is the method I actually learned in school. So let's create another box. And I'm just going to freehand this one. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but I'll try to make it about square. Okay. Now this box is going to have a little bit more of a perspective distortion on it, on the bottom face, and you'll actually see more of the side face because it's a little further away from the vanishing point. Okay, and then let's see, we'll go to about right here. Alright, so that box is actually kind of tucked away behind that box in our view. Now we're going to start with the same thing. Let me refine that edge a little bit. Oh, okay. See. Alright. So, just like before, you want a straight line from corner to corner. Separate this, or divide it up like this to find the center. This is the absolute center of your box. Your vertical line, that's your vertical center. The horizontal line here is the horizontal center. And so all 8 parts are approximately equal. They would be more equal if I measured and didn't freehand. We're going to divide the bottom face as well. Let me darken this line in for the edge of the face. I'll do the same here. So we freehand the diagonal, finding the right angle here. Okay. Then we use the vanishing point for this central division, which was the vertical on the front face, and then our horizontal division there we go. So right here is the absolute center of this box. Now, again, unlike where we did the grid, we're going to skip the grid, but we're going to still do the diamond. This is the method I was taught in school while I was getting my bachelor's degree in game design. So you create the diamond, just as before, which we can also do in perspective because we have those same points. We don't have to go looking for anything here. Alright, now if you look at this, okay, so where we put these dots and ran our curve through, that's close to halfway from the diamond to the corner. It might not be quite halfway, but it's very close. So I'm just going to kind of put a little bit of a mark there. I'm just guesstimating. Okay. And you'll do the same thing in perspective. Down here, you figure out approximately where halfway is on that little shape that's left. And of course, over there where my line got fat, that's a little hard to see. So there's the line, there's that. We'll say it's right there. Then just like before, all you have to do is create your curve. making sure it goes about where your little arc line is that you've created. And of course, you just work on each section, making it as circular as you can. Alright. And I'll just darken in my final line here. Okay, so the flat face circle is way easier than this perspective one. But let's see, we've got the center point of this edge and the center point of that edge, and then our curve has to come all the way up there. So we're going to get a lot of distortion. And then we need to go right here. Let's see. So I think that's my mark. This is the center point. This edge is almost flat because of how much distortion we've got in the perspective. Again, here we're going from this center point to that center point through this mark. And then back here from this center point to this center point through the mark. So this circle is, like I said, it's very distorted with the perspective, but it is still circular. I'll just fill it in to get rid of, so you see that circle as opposed to everything else there. Okay. Now, we can go on to 2-point perspective. In 2-point perspective, so this is vanishing point left. I'll go ahead and put vanishing point right over here. And in 2-point perspective, okay, your circle is only going to be on one plane, and it will go to one of your 2 vanishing points, unless it's on like a top plane that goes to both, which might be confusing if you're not used to perspective yet. So I will create, this is the vertical of a box. And I'm going to actually end it here to make sure I get this below the horizon line. And right here, that looks about good. I'm going to draw this out to both vanishing points because now we're looking in 2-point perspective. All right. Coming across here. Get the top in there. Okay. And then it's up to me to determine where my box's edges are. So that looks about square to me. Let's see, that looks about square to me. So those are the edges. And we'll get the back side of the box in place here. Alright, so now we have this box in perspective. A circle in this face is drawn to that vanishing point, so it would be a circle on this face. Here it would be drawn to this vanishing point, and that would be a circle on this face. A circle on the top is going to be drawn to both because it's flat within the plane. So let's work on that. So then draw the central vanishing, or the central divider lines that mark up your center from the vanishing point through the center of the X to the edge of the box. Okay, it's just like we did on that one in 1 point perspective on the bottom face, except that now we're doing both directions. Both horizontal and vertical are actually both horizontal now because it's on this face within the perspective. Let me darken this back edge and this one. Okay, so now we have all these points. Again, center of each edge. Those 4 points, we're going to create the diamond. Okay, and then again, we're going to measure about halfway from the diamond to the corner as the point where our circle will pass through. Okay, let me get a better angle here. So there's that curve coming around. We've got this curve coming around again. Alright, so this bit, now it's getting into that distorted kind of flat area. And the last bit of curve there. Okay, so that is our circle on the top in 2 point perspective. I'll just shade it in so that we get rid of all the extra junk in there. Okay, and then again, if I do it on the side, it's going to be just like doing this one up here or one of these down there, because we've already marked the center line here, so that's the center line. Same over here, this is the center line. Use the X to connect your corners. Okay, I probably drew my center line a little bit crooked, but at least gets me really close, just freehanding it here. Use the ruler for accuracy. Alright. Now, the horizontal line has to go to the vanishing points. So, vanishing point right for this face. Vanishing point left for this face. I'm a little low. Hold on. Okay. So then that's the center edges. And I'm doing 2 sides at the same time here. So create the diamond. Over here, the diamond. Figure out about halfway there. And create your arc. Oh, I missed my line. Hold on a second. There we go. I'll just go ahead and darken this in. Now it'd be nice if you could use a compass for this, but when you go into perspective, a compass won't work because the compass only draws equally distant all the way around. So this will be handy to know if you ever need to create something circular in perspective. Let's go ahead and do this side just to finish it all off. Marking my halfway points here, so halfway from the diamond to the corner, or approximately that. Oh, I messed that up a little bit. There we go. So you should always start out sketching lightly, and then once you find the line that you want to use, darken it in. Alright, so that is enough circles in perspective. 3-point perspective, I'll do 1 and 3-point perspective just to give you an example here. The only real difference in 3-point perspective, aside from if you do all 3 faces of it, is that your vertical dividing line is going to be drawn to your vertical vanishing point, along with all the other verticals of your cube or box or plane. So let's just do a plane. And it's going to be, of course, very distorted with that 3rd vanishing point within the image plane. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'll draw it out as a cube just to give you everything here. Alright, so now I'm going to do the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and make this completely above the vanishing point. So that's that edge coming back over to this vanishing point. Okay. Drawing the top edge back to that vanishing point. Oh, so I made that face really wide, but that's fine. That will help to describe for you the difference between drawing a circle and an ellipse. Okay. Bottom edges, because I put it above the vanishing point, or above the horizon line rather. Okay, so now we've got this kind of goofy looking cube, and this is in 3-point perspective. I'm not going to draw the back edge because we're going to be putting all other kinds of stuff on here. Now I'm going to use my ruler this time to draw my X's, so I don't mess it up and have to guesstimate at where the center is. So connecting the 4 corners. Alright, I'm going to do this face over here. And then I'm going to do the bottom. And of course you can already see with all these faces that I'm working on all at once right here, it might be getting a little bit confusing. That's a corner. Okay. So we've marked the center point here, and the center point here, and the center point there. Alright, so now the vertical center points will be drawn to the new vanishing point, the vertical vanishing point, because we are doing these in 3-point perspective. So this one. Okay, so this is the bottom center edge and the bottom center edge. Now, these edges across the bottom face get drawn to their respective vanishing points. This one goes to vanishing point right. And then this one goes to vanishing point left. Alright. And let me darken in the outline of this box so you can see better every face that we've created. Alright, so this is the center of that side, center of that side, center of that side, and the center of that side. Let's go ahead and start with this face. Oh, I have not created horizontal centers for those sides. So this face, the horizontal gets drawn to vanishing point right. And then on this face, the vanishing point gets drawn to vanishing point left. Or the center. Yeah, the horizontal center. There we go. Alright, so now we have our 8 sections broken up on each face. And again, we start with the diamond. Top center to right center to bottom center to left center. And you can see that distortion right there. That's a lot of distortion right there. And that is the heavy skew of 3-point perspective right there. And also because we're getting closer to this vanishing point. I'll go ahead and do the diamond on this face. Top center to right center to bottom center to left center, and left center to top center. And again, now this one, it's being skewed off of the bottom vanishing point, which is the vertical. So as we get further away from it, things get a lot bigger, a lot wider. And as we get closer, they get a lot narrower. And it happens really fast. Now, we've got the bottom face, which is very hard to see. It's getting very tight and very skewed. Okay. So now I have my diamond on all the sides. I'm just kind of throwing in the arc and trying to create the circular shape. And you can already probably see this is going to be a very wide oval type shape. That's a little too far down. So this is our very skewed 3-point perspective oval on that face. Over here, and make sure I keep everything on the camera here. Creating the oval. Alright. And so again, this one's skewed, but it's not quite as skewed as that one. And then at the bottom, I'm just going to freehand one in here because, I mean, you got to mark like the halfway point there, and you can't even see that stuff. It's a mess. But you essentially have another wide oval along the bottom. And I'll just fill that in. Okay. So that's all there is to drawing circles in perspective. Okay, so now we're going to work on spheres in perspective. Now, to be perfectly honest, a sphere in perspective, if it's not hollow and you don't need to know exactly where it is, all it is a circle. It doesn't matter if it's 2-point or 3-point perspective, it will always be a circle. However, I'll have to demonstrate that for you, okay? Because it may not sound right at first. So let's go ahead and create our vanishing point here. This is vanishing point left, and it's going to be the first one we use. So here's the thing, okay? It's just like creating an ellipse, but you should use a perfect cube, and I'm not necessarily going to do that. But let's try to make this a good square. That's about right. So that should be pretty close to square. Okay, same thing as drawing an ellipse. You connect it. Vertical, horizontal, through the center. Create your diamond. And then, well, measure it out like halfway there. Okay, so this circle in 1-point perspective is just completely flat. If we do it on the side here, let me use the ruler to get that line, because that's kind of a sharp angle. Okay, connect these edges to find the circle, or to find the center. Vertical. And then here's the horizontal, going back to the vanishing point. Alright, so you create your diamond. And again, actually it should be higher, like right there. Alright, so that circle in that plane, while it's not a perfect circle because this is all squished, could also be a sphere. So these could be two totally different spheres. And of course, the only way you're really going to show that it's a sphere is by shading it like one. So, like, let's just say there was light coming in from up here, and you create a dark shadow area here. Now it's kind of a sphere. Maybe it shines right there. Same light source here. And create this dark shadow area over here. And maybe it shines there. So as you can see, they both look like spheres and they're just circles. But in order to create a full-on sphere within perspective, there's a way. So I'll do a new box down here. Okay. I'm just going to kind of freehand this in. Alright. Let me do this one because it's longer. Okay. So, in order to create a sphere, okay, we're going to center a sphere within this cube. So we're going to need to find the centers, just like before. I'll go ahead and use the ruler, trying to be accurate. But this time, we're not going to create it directly on one of the faces. We're going to try to create it in the center. And this is a process that I found on what is it? Mr. Rhino 3D's channel. This is something that I was never taught in art school. I just kind of saw his demonstration of it.
I'm not allowed to talk to Gary.
And
Brandon told me not to ever talk to Gary.
here we go.
So, but anyway, so I wrote this out. Huh? Don't talk to Gary anymore. Who? He just said that. He just said Gary's an asshole. Don't talk to him anymore.
Alright. So now we found the center of each of these faces. Going back to the vanishing point.
So I wrote him a letter.
Okay, we want to find this horizontal center or middle center.
I will tell you two situations that's happened in my life. One, doctor ignored me, had taken my breath,
Okay, using those two lines, okay, we know this is the center of this side. Draw a line across through the center to that side. And this is the center of this side, straight up and down to that side. Alright, so now we have this whole thing. This center line here, we can draw back to the vanishing point. Let me use the ruler for that. We're going to basically create a rectangle along the center vertical inside the box. Okay, so this line drops straight down to there. Okay, so this is where we're going to actually create our first circle. We need to find the center of that box. As you can see, this is getting convoluted already, and it's going to get worse. There's that. We've already got the center of that thing. So from there to there to there and to there. That's our diamond for creating our circle.
I got her opened up. It's worse than we think. So what do you want us to do? You know, they get this meal up. Huh? Well, anyway, Dana said not to send my letter. But the day that they should have gotten the letter, I got back calls. Valley Health, Valley Health, Valley Health, Valley Health.
Okay. So this is our central circle
Did you get your blood work? Blah, blah, blah.
for creating the sphere.
My husband's working.
Now we need to create the horizontal one.
I haven't had the time to get it done
So
yet.
we're
I'm
going
working on it.
back
You ain't
from
getting on
here.
that. Well, Dr. K wants you to now get an MRI and MRA of your head.
Alright. Now from here, we need to create the back edge going
And I'm
horizontal.
Why all of a sudden urgency with this? Because we agreed in the fucking waiting in the office.
Alright.
that I got
So
one
this is a little convoluted, but we're creating
set aside for
another
now.
circle on this flat card here.
I know that's what Aaron said, but what I'm saying is that wasn't my concern, and that's not what he upset me about. I know
Alright,
that
so
my
this
whole body hurts.
comes through. And as you can see, like I said, it's getting crazy. But this is how you create a sphere within
Nothing for my pain. 'Cause you kept saying,
a
"What do you want me to do? You didn't know to do."
within a cube. Alright, so there's the diamond.
I'm not addicted because nobody will give me any painkillers. I know.
Alright,
I need hydrocodone. But
so
then
there's
give it to
two
me.
circles now. And we need one more circle. Because we've got this direction and we've got this direction. So vertical and horizontal. Now we need one that goes across
I'm gonna say,
inside the center.
nobody will help me with my pain or give me anything for my pain.
So
I am going to
this is
ask if
the
marijuana-
center card
if marijuana will help. Let's see what they have to say about it.
right here, down to here, and then across here.
Well, that isn't all he did. Like I said, I had my book there. I
Alright,
remember
and I'm just going to freehand this one
but I have
because
all these little
it's already a mess.
bunch of
But
big lists of things. And
you bring this one in, and you can already see what I'm sketching here has created something of a globe. I mean, you just kind of go around the outside of this.
yes, but people are going out getting it.
And it may not be perfect because this is not a perfect square, but that right there is our sphere within a cube in 1 point perspective. You can do the same thing in 2 point perspective and 3 point perspective. But aside from the fact that mine's a little bit oblong here, not quite perfect, it's still just a circle. Just like I said before, it's just a circle. Always in perspective, a sphere should be a circle. Okay, so now we're going to create cones in perspective. So, cones in perspective. And a cone is essentially that, although it does not have to be pointed at the top. It could be rounded as well, like that. So pointed or rounded, doesn't really matter. They're both essentially the same. It's just a difference of how much you taper your box. So let's go ahead and start with a horizon line. I'll go ahead and put it up here. Alright. And for this one, let's go ahead and start with a vanishing point right here. We'll call this one vanishing point left, because we're going to do more. And then let's create a box. Maybe even a good square box, if I can. So let me rough this in. Right about like so. Alright. Then we're going to draw this back to the vanishing point. Alright. And then I'm just gonna make it more of a simple cube here, so that we don't get an extreme amount of taper on there. This comes straight down to about here, comes across. Alright, I messed up. Should probably hit right there. There we go. Alright, eraser. Get rid of this line. Get rid of some of that. So yeah, I'm kind of freehanding this, and it did not come out quite perfect. We'll get rid of some of this extra stuff back here. We don't need all that in our image. So this is our box. Alright. Now, we know that the fat piece of the cone is going to be back here. We need to, and it's going to be rounded, so we need to find the center. Of that back face. Okay, then we'll create a diamond. And then I'm going to go in orange, and I'm going to create the curve. So this is not precisely circular. It's a little bit more of an elliptical shape, but it's fairly close. Alright, now that's the fat base. Up here is going to be the tapered piece. So again, we're going to find the center of our front face. And let me darken in the corners right here. This is our front face. Okay. Now, you know what? I'm going to make this one a pointy cone, just to make sure that it is going to show exactly how I want it to. So this is the center. And basically, we need to connect the center to the center. There. Over here, let's see. Essentially, that is all there is to creating your cone. It's tapered to the side here. This is the exterior curve. And then let's just say that it's lit, so it is a solid shape with the shine up there. Okay, that is our cone. Let me go black for the edges here, just to help reinforce it. Okay, and so that is how you create a cone within this box with a pointy tip. If you want this tip to be rounded, you can keep this bigger and do a circle and connect your circle. Let's do another one It's actually just tilted up. So let's go ahead and put this one right here. That's a good sized box. Okay, give it a little bit here. Vertical. You're going to get a lot of distortion on this edge right here. We're just going to say we don't see that at all because of where it's at. Okay. So yeah, that seems about right. Okay. Now, for this one, it's going to be standing upright. So here's the base. So we will go corner to corner, corner to corner, center point right about there, the center point right about here, do the diamond, okay, and then create the curve. Alright, now again I'm going to make this a pointy one just to make it quick and simple here. So I'm connecting my corners. This is the center. This center needs to connect to the side like that, and over here to this side like that. So now we have a vertical cone that curves along the base in 1 point perspective. And again, I'll just shade it in like it's lit from over here. Alright, and actually let me use my dark blue to outline this guy. So there you are, this cone in 1 point perspective. Now let's go ahead and add a vanishing point. So we'll put it right over here. This is going to be vanishing point right. And we're going to do 2 cones in 2 point perspective. So I will create a new box right here. We'll make it a little bit smaller. Oh, shoot. What was I thinking? This is 2 point perspective, so you don't create a horizontal. Instead, we'll create a vertical about there. Take this side back to the vanishing point. Create the vertical on that side. Vanishing point. Create the vertical. Making it approximately cube-like. This one's a little bit rectangular, but that's okay. Alright. And then, let's see, bottom one. Bottom one. So they're meeting up right about there to hit that top back corner. Okay. So we have this box. Alright, and because I've made it this, you know what? here's what I'll do. I'll clear some of this stuff out of here. The extra lines that we don't really need anymore. Darken that back in. Alright. Now, same thing. I'm going to make the fat side right here, skinny side over here. So, this is going to be my circle side. And this goes to the vanishing point, about like that. Create the diamond, and then create our circle. Okay, over here on this face, we find the center. That's the center. And again, connect the center here to the top center and connect it to the bottom center. So now we have a cone in 2-point perspective with the curvature. Just go with the blue. We've got this curvature. And the bottom side. Oops. And so here is our cone. Nice shiny cone. Alright. Now we're going to create one that stands upright. Same deal though. I'll go ahead and use my ruler for this one. Let's go ahead and put it right here. That'll be the bottom, that'll be the top. Take that too far back because we got other shapes going on there. So as you can see, that's coming through the other shape, but we will go ahead and make this one. Let's see right here. So this is going to be a tall box instead of a full-on square. Alright, now I'm just going to guesstimate this one. Let's make him end right there. Take him downward. Take this guy here. And then, alright, so, alright, I guesstimated and I screwed it up. See, so this is actually right about here. Yeah, see, my outline was like way the hell off. Alright. That's why you should always do it right the first time. Okay. Yeah. What the hell's going on back here? Alright. Did I guesstimate that side too? I bet I did. Yes, I did, and I was way off. That's why. Okay. There we go. Now we're in action. Alright, so yeah, sorry about the dirty mess on that one. Let me clear out that piece of box that's in our way. Alright, so here is our box. Alright, excuse me for a moment. Okay, so we have the box constructed. This is going to be our base. This is going to be the tip. So fat base, pointy tip. First of all, we need to find the center of the bottle. Okay. Now, both of our horizontal centers here are going to different vanishing points. So this one goes to vanishing point left. This one goes to vanishing point right. So if I can even... Oh, alright. I don't know what I was seeing there. Had a little optical illusion going on the desk there. Alright. Then, we connect our centers with the diamond. So you can see from the diamond shape, we got a little bit of distortion going on here. It's not too bad, but it's not a really nice circle. Alright, and then at the top, we're going to find the center by connecting the corners. So here is our center. This center, in this instance, is going to connect to, let's see, how is this going to work? It looks like this angle right here. And this is just an observation of what you're going to see in your final shape. So I'm going to say from right here up to the center. And so this is just something you're going to figure out through observation, trial and error. But like, let's say I connected this one back here, but then I connected this one. Well, now this one's the outer edge. And if I connected this one to the center, it's also inside the shape. And if I connect out here, I could be adding facets or extra faces to my shape. But really what I only want to do here is show you the actual shape. So we'll get the blue and darken in that exterior line of our cone. Alright. And 3-point perspective is essentially the same. It's just that you have no vertical lines, independently vertical lines. They would go to your vertical vanishing point. And so I'm not going to bother doing one in 3-point perspective because it's just more convoluted. But I will do one more for you here, just to be thorough, where I'm going to show you a cone with a rounded side, with both rounded sides. So let me go ahead and create in 1 point. No, let's just go 2-point perspective. Why not? And we'll do our box right here. Okay. I'm going to sketch that up to the vanishing point. And to save a bunch of crap, I'm going to actually use the ruler this time, so I don't have to completely rework a box that doesn't line up. Oop, I missed my line. Bad angle here. That's close. Alright. this side right here. Take that back to the vanishing point. And this side we're going to end way over here. So there's going to be a lot of taper in this cone instead of doing another square box. Bring that over so they connect right about there. Bring in the hidden side of the box because we're going to need to see it. Okay, so from here straight up, be there, and then connect the front to the back. Okay, so we now have this big rectangular box. Let me clear out some extra lines that will just get in our way. It's always great to show your construction so you can analyze it if there's a problem. But once you've got it in place, then you know it's done. So now this is going to be, I'm thinking, we're going to use this side as our base, and this is going to be the pointy side. But it's going to have to get really small up here so that it doesn't look like it's a cylinder. So alright, let's start by finding our curve on the back, the base. See, if you taper your cone just right in perspective, or whatever, it will actually look like a cylinder when you have the two rounded ends. And that's not really a look you want, but it might be handy to know for something at some point. Alright, so I'm going to connect my diamond across here. Alright, so we've got a very elliptical oval base. Maybe this cone has been squished a few times, like run over by truck drivers. Almost looks like an eyeball. Or an egg. Alright, I think I squashed this curve just a little too much. But okay. And actually this one might be a little too much too. Alright, so we've got that curve. Now, we're going to need to find the center on the front, but unlike the other times, we're going to end up doing a little bit more here. Oh, and the dog has come downstairs, which means he needs my attention. So I will pause this, and when I return, we will finish making this cone in the sky. Okay, so back to creating our cone. We need to create the vertical line here. And then the horizontal center goes to the left, vanishing point on this face. Alright. Now, the reason we did this is because we now want to create a much smaller box to work with. And we've already got the center point regardless of how big it is, because we just draw our vertical lines. Well, draw the vertical line here, connect that back to the vanishing point. So I'm making this one really small. It's not quite pointed, but very close. Let me make sure that my line will connect. Okay. drawing these lines. Back to the vanishing point. I need to get a better vantage point. Alright. And then vertical from here to here. So we've just created that very small box within the box. And here we can create our diamond by using everything we had drawn from the big box, because this box is centered. And then create our circle here. A very small circle in perspective. Alright. And then we can connect from our top center, okay, to the top center of the back face. Let me see if I can get this to line up right. And then we can connect the bottom center to the bottom center on the back face. And we now have, okay, this is essentially, maybe because this curves outward a little bit, maybe this line should curve just a little bit more to meet there, possibly a little bit more here to meet there. But we have this tapered cone in perspective, so the smaller you make the tip, the more of an effect you get. And so I think you can see here how you might end up with something that looks like a cylinder. I mean, it is a cylinder, but how you might get one that doesn't look like it's really tapered at all in perspective, if you have the skinny side at the front. Let's see, this is the outer curve. This is the side we're seeing. So I'll go around the whole circle. And then I'll just go ahead and fill it in. Nice orange fill on our cone. And of course, you know, you could clean everything out if you were doing this in a project, but that is essentially it. Inside, I'll leave this dark, because this is the inside of the cone. And you could possibly, though, have a little bit of orange. That's not going to show up because markers, or not markers, but colored pencils. But yeah, that's all there is to creating cones. Whether they're just tapered and open or tapered and pointed. And I mean, it's essentially the same as drawing the cylinders. It's just that you're making one side a taper. And we're going to do more of that with the next shape. Okay, now we're going to create tapered boxes in perspective, which is basically like a prism. It's a box that tapers, but is still a box at the end. So it might be kind of like this. Alright. Except that instead of being like those little doodles I just made, we're going to do it in perspective. I've already set up a left vanishing point, a right vanishing point, and a bottom vanishing point, because we're going to cover both all three, 1, 2, and 3 point perspective with this. So let's start over here with a box that tapers vertically in 1 point perspective. So I'm going to create my bottom. And I'm going to make this a nice tall box, like way tall. Alright. So it's going to go both above and below the horizon line in this drawing. And I'm going to connect my lines to the vanishing point so that we have the receding lines, the perspective of this particular box. I already sketched this out, but let me go ahead and refine that line so I don't have to redo the box later, trying to figure out what is what. Okay. Make that line a little bit more committal. And that one. Take these back to my vanishing point. So this box is only in 1 point perspective. I need to do the back edge here. Okay. Then we need to decide how far back this box actually is going to go. Let's go ahead and stop it right around there. So that's my top line. And then we can bring this in to connect to the bottom. Again, this little side over here, because I'm so close to the vanishing point, tends to get pretty jammed up. That might actually be a little bit crooked. Let's make it a little bit wider. If I were using a T-square instead, this might be quicker and easier. Yeah, that looks better to me. And let's go ahead and do the bottom. So line this up where it feels about properly vertical to me. There we go. And then across the bottom. Huh, that seems like it should be even further out there. But, okay. Chances are I probably, yeah, I used, see, my vanishing point lines. Sometimes I miss them just a little bit, so that's why I'm not perfect on there. Alright, anyway, so we're going to make the bottom face the fat side of the box. The top is going to be centered and tapered. So I'm just going to freehand my diagonal lines. Front corner, back corner, front corner to back corner, horizontal line, and then of course this other line goes to the vanishing point. Alright, and so of course we've created all this division just like if we were doing a circle, but instead of a circle we're going to create a narrow box. So let's go, you want to go from angle through the center to the angle. And these are the terminations of the front face of the smaller box. Alright, I'm just going to freehand this one real quick. So going to the vanishing point from the angle through the center to the angle, through the center to the angle, the back horizontal edge. Okay, then these corners will line up to these corners, and that is just that gives us our taper that is centered. If you wanted to, for whatever reason, create a tapered box that's not centered, you could do the same thing and create your box at some sort of an offset, where instead of having your box actually centered, maybe you sketched it over here or over here, just using these to kind of put it into the approximate quadrant that you want it to be. But that's one of those things I will let you figure out if that's what you really want to do. Okay, and then from this corner to the front corner up there. Alright, so now we have a tapered box where it tapers directly down to the center in perspective. I'm going to use green to go over my lines on the exterior. So you'll see this line, and you'll see this line. And this one. And this one. Okay, so the big difference between a cone and a tapered box is, of course, we did not round off any edges. And of course, you can make whatever you want to make. So you could have rounded off the bottom face and had it go to a square tip, or you could round off the top face and have it go to a square base. So all this other stuff is interior. You don't really see it because this is a nice solid tapered box in 1-point perspective. Alright, and whether you did the bottom face and the top face, or the back and the front, or this and that, it's all the same. It just, the only thing that changes is which vanishing point you might be drawing to. So let's go ahead and do one in 2-point perspective. We'll do the same thing, standing upright. So let me go ahead and create the center of this shape right about here. Doing my vertical line. Okay. Do the bottom edge here. And I'm stopping it when it hits that other shape, so that we don't get a whole bunch of overlap here in this particular drawing. We can do the top edge back here to the right vanishing point because we are now going in 2-point perspective. Alright. And then I will end this back piece just outside of the other box. Here we go. And then of course we use that to find the back side. Going back to this vanishing point. Alright, and we'll create this side over here. Let's stop it right about there, should be good. Try to make sure I'm straight. That should be alright. And we'll need to create that back edge going back to the left vanishing point. Bottom back edge. And so it should be from here to here. That looks like I might have been a little bit off on my perspective again. Alright. But now we have our rectangle that we can work with. The horizon line is shooting through here. Let's go ahead and get rid of some of this extra stuff back here that we don't want. We don't need anything getting in the way to confuse us. I just took out some of that horizon line. Okay, brush all that away. Alright, so we have a box, relatively a box. It's a little bit janky back there, but That's fine. Now, do the same thing. So I'm going to connect my corners to find the center of that face, which is right there. I need to draw a line from the vanishing point through that X to the foredge. So right there. And then from this vanishing point through the X to this front edge. Okay, so we've segmented this whole thing, and we're going to make it a small box, but this actually has to be done to the vanishing points, where here we could just go horizontal with it to create one. Here we have to actually decide how big it is and draw that line to the vanishing points, because they are both horizontals, and both horizontals are going to the vanishing points. So I've created this one from this diagonal through the center line to this diagonal. Now I'm going to take this back to the left vanishing point. I'm going to extend that too far because I'm not sure exactly where everything is. Well, I've got the ruler blocking. I'll do the same with this side. Okay. But this line is going from the diagonal through the center line to the diagonal. And then this one, diagonal, center line, diagonal. So we're going to connect diagonal, center line, diagonal for the back edge there, from the vanishing point to the front. And yeah, it's not quite perfect, but it's close. So that is our centered face for the taper, which is coming back to here. And I'm not going to bother breaking this all down because we're just going to worry about connecting the four corners of our new face to the base. And not even all four, we're going to connect the ones that we will see. So we will see this edge. We will see this edge. And we will see this back edge. So from here to there. Okay, so I've obviously missed a couple of times, but we're close. Alright, so now this one, same shape as this, just this time it's in 2-point perspective. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2 colors here. Red for this side. Alright. And blue for the other side. If I can get the blue out of the tray. How about that? Okay, and finally we will do one in 3-point perspective. So before I get started, let me erase some of this stuff because that will be in my way while I create this last tapered box. And let me rescue my pencil from the nether here. Alright, now 3-point perspective, our verticals are drawn to a vertical vanishing point, which is down here. So we're going to establish our vertical line. And then we need to figure out how this box is going to fit within our perspective, because, oh, that's crazy. All right. Let's go right here. This is the bottom. This is the bottom. I'm going to continue it through there. And then let's do the back side over here. In fact, let's taper this. Well, alright, yeah. I mean, even by itself, 3-point perspective will make this appear to be tapered. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead and bring this side up right around here. Okay, so we will connect here. And we will connect here. Then I've got to do the back sides. Okay. And so you can already see this box appears to be tapered already, and not necessarily to the center. It is very distorted. And let's see, so if that was the, we need to bring that back edge in just so we can do this. Alright. So of course I've got a lot of overlap here from that other shape. So I'm going to clear some of this out. It's kind of a mess here. Okay, so this is the vertical back of the box. This is the inside of the top face. I need to connect that top face to the back to the bottom on the back. And alright, so I think this is where it's supposed to be. Yeah, alright. Which means this goes to like here, and this goes to here. I don't know. Now everything's a mess. Something's not right. Maybe I'm using the wrong line. Okay, so for some reason this is not quite lining up. Ah, here we go. Alright, now we got it. More or less. It's a mess, but... Okay, So we have this goofy thing, and if I taper up here, it's gonna make this thing look weird. Like it'll, like if I put the taper up here, it's gonna still be distorted. And if I put the taper down here, it might stay about the same. It won't be easy to see, but we'll do it just like the other ones, where I'll taper it at the top, and we'll see how it looks. So here's the center, or half the center. Here's the other half. Now, both vanishing points to find the actual center here. Okay. So, now we've got this, and we can find the center, or let's just say I want to do my top about that far out. So let me draw a line from this vanishing point, right there. Diagonal, across the middle, diagonal. Bring in the side ones. Because from that point that we've created on that one line, we can now construct accurately centered lines for the rest. And then from here across the back. Okay. So now we're gonna see this side. I think we'll see that side. We should see this side. We will not see that side. And we will connect these to the corresponding corners at the base, which is wider than the top. And in the end, we have a very strange looking sloped shape that now is almost inverse from the original box because we tapered it at the top, even though it's in 3-point perspective. So let me go with my orange here. This is our tapered box. On one side. And I will color the other side with purple. How about that? Okay. And so again, this is 1-point perspective with the box being drawn to the 1 point. This is 2-point perspective where the box is drawn equally to these 2 points. And this one is 3-point perspective where it's drawn to here, and to here. So that's all the shapes in perspective that I have for you. You can create your own combination of shapes, but if you can make all these shapes that I've shown you, you should be able to draw just about anything in perspective. So good luck to you.